So hi everyone, welcome to my guide on how to execute a good Ironman. So today this is part one of the swim, and it's kind of just an overview of what a good Ironman swim might be. And then as we go forward, we'll break that down into things to help make it a good swim, and then we'll look at some tips for the race as to where you should start, positioning and bits and pieces like that. We'll also talk about some training sessions that might help in your build up as well. So right, let's hoe into it. So first up, what is a good Ironman swim? Well, I'm telling you right now, it's not about the time. And if you go, it's all about the time. In all honesty, when you get out the water at the end of an Ironman swim and you look at your watch, it'll just give you a number. And the cold harsh reality is that number doesn't tell you whether you've had a good swim. It'll tell you whether you've done a good time, but it doesn't tell you whether you've had a good swim. The cold harsh reality is there's way too many variables. You're dealing with contact, you're dealing with open water, and that could either be fresh water or salt water because there's a difference. You could be in cold water. You could be in warm water. It could be non-wetsuit swim, wetsuit swim. For a lot of people, that makes a massive difference to the time and how fast they go. Current, windage, course might be a bit inaccurate, or it might be a course where you've got to do 2 laps and got to run along the beach and get back in. So if you go into an Ironman and expecting the number to be the marker of to whether you've had a good swim, you're sadly mistaken. What denotes a good Ironman swim is getting from the start of the swim to shore and getting out and not being train wrecked. Yes, you'll be a wee bit fatigued. It's nearly 4Ks. But if you can get out the water being reasonably fresh, good swim. That's all you need to do. If you get to shore and you've had a really, really good time and you're tanked, that's a bad swim. Ultimately, that's a bad swim, and that will bite you in the bum later in the day. So, and what I mean by that is that you've got to look at the swim in the context of the whole. It's not, and it depends on your speed. It's not a 1 hour swim. It's not a 1 hour 30 swim or a 2 hour swim. It's part of a 9 to 17 hour day, or 8 to 17 hours if you're that fast. So it's a case of you don't get to the end of the swim and then like a swimmer does and hang off the lane ropes and look at the time. You've got to get through transition. You've got to get onto the bike. And if you hit shore and you're tanked, that's a bad swim. So you need to be mindful of that it's a case of the time, because here's what happens. Let's hypothetically, let's talk about it as if you're a 2 minute per 100 swimmer, and let's use that. That's somebody in the pool, they can maintain, they swim 100 meters in 2 minutes. If you're that athlete and Ironman rolls, if you do an Ironman in that pace, that's about a 117 Ironman split. So kind of in the middle of the pack somewhere. But the thing is you can get out the watch, and if you get out the water and your watch says you've swum 117 and you're fresh, great swim. You might get out the water and it might be 115. Now, if you get out the water and have swum 115 and you're tanked, that's a bad swim. Good time, bad swim, and it's going to bite you in the bum. And here's the deal on that. Is say you're that 117 swimmer and you come out the water and the clock says 120. And even if you get out the water and you're fresh and you've had a good swim, that's a good swim. Regardless of the time, ignore the time, that's a good swim. But what happens is when you look at your watch in that moment in time and you see 120, what a lot of people do at that point is they go, oh crap, I've had a bad swim, I'm behind. And at that point in time, you don't know. It might be that all of your peers who would normally have swum 117 will swum 120. Or they've actually swum 123 and you've had a fantastic swim. But it comes back to that. If you're fresh, still a good swim. Slow time, but you don't know why. And it could be current. It could be a buoy's moved in the swim, because it happens. Could be just chop and contact. Could be swim a bit further to avoid some contact. But what happens is, back on topic, is that people look and they go, oh shit, I'm 3 minutes behind. And they go into catch up mode. So they kind of get into transition, and then they start rushing and potentially forget some of their important nutrition. Or alternatively, they get out onto the bike and they're like, shit, I'm 3 minutes behind. I've got to play catch up. So what they do is they then start pushing the bike because they feel they're 3 minutes behind, and they start push. And then at the end of the bike ride, they're starting to sort of implode a little bit, and then they get out on the run and they're smashed. And what happens is that they get 20 to 30 Ks into the run. And remember, this was all over 3 minutes. And then what happens is, rather than running at 6 minute per K pace with 10 Ks to go, they're walking at about 11 or 12 minutes per K. So they've got 10 Ks, well, they've got 12 Ks of walk. We'll say 10 because the last 2 Ks everybody can rally and run. So you've got 10 kilometers of losing, 5 to 6 minutes per kilometer over the sake of what you thought was 3 minutes, which was actually a good swim. So that's where it all kind of falls apart. So what you have to think about is that the time is just a number, and when you look at your watch, it doesn't designate whether you've had a good swim. If you get out the water and you go, oh man, that was awesome, feeling good, let's go, brilliant swim. That's what you want to do. And the only thing is there's a little caution. If you go there, if you're that 117 swimmer and you get out the water and it's say 114, and you're feeling good, and it's like, oh man, I'm awesome, check me out, I'm the pros, here I come. You've had a good swim, you're feeling fresh, the time was great as well, cool. You have to compartmentalize that, and then go on with the rest of your day to the rest of your plan. And we will talk about Ironman plans as a supplemental at the end, and you know what I mean. But the thing is that you've had that great swim. Now you're pumped. And what happens with that athlete is they get out on the bike and they're starting to buy in and believe in the marketing. And they're going, oh, I'm just having one of those days, I'm going to be awesome. And then they just drop the hammer. Any plan's gone out the window. And they get to 90 Ks in, and they've gone through 90 Ks faster than they've ever done before. And then they get to 150 Ks, and then the wheels start falling off the bus. And then it's same as the person earlier who's gone the other way. That they've got carried away and they end up walking. So they had a great day and they were 3 or 4 minutes up, but then they blew it because they got carried away. So you've got to be mindful of the whole, and each section you have to be mindful. So while the swim needs to be mindful of the bike and the run, you've got to be mindful that a good swim, it's like cool, then you've got to park it and get onto transition, get through that, then get onto the bike, and so on. It's same as if you've had a bad swim. Here's the reality: a bad swim in an Ironman for most of us is only going to be it's only a couple of minutes. In all honesty, when you get to an Ironman, you're going to be this fit, and you'll swim in this window. So, for example, if you're that 117 swimmer, as you get fit, you might drop and it might be 115 or a little bit faster. But you're going to swim in a window of, say, 115 to 120, give or take a couple of minutes, either or. Might be a little bit faster, depending on conditions, might be a little bit slower. So if you have a kind of a slow swim or an average swim, you're only going to lose yourself a minute or so. And so in the scheme of an Ironman, it's such a small amount. An Ironman, you can leach a massive amount of time over the course of a day. You can leach time standing in an aid station deciding whether you're going to have the jet planes or the jelly beans, or whether you're going to have a piece of slice or whatever. Standing still and things like that. So it's very easy to lose time. And that's the thing. So don't get too hung up on it. I want you to think about this. This is because in this world that we have of push, Ironman's a long day, and it's a case of put in the context of that. 2-minute swimmer. So if you swim at 2 minutes, it's a 2 minutes per 100, it's a 117 Ironman. Okay, and that's probably comfortable. You can get through the Ironman, get out the water. Also, check me out, pose with the camera, and away you go. Great swim, feeling fresh, job done, perfect. So what happens if you push? Say, like, let's say you drop down to 155 per 100 pace. So that's about 5 seconds per 100 faster. So you'll be working pretty hard. That'll give you about a 114. So it's about 3 minutes, give or take. But if you do that time and get to the shore and you newt, you've gone too hard, and that's not a good swim. It's not a bad time, but it's not a good swim because you're gonna pay for it later in the day. Okay, it's for the sake of 3 minutes. 3 minutes. But I want you to think about this. If you cruise to swim and swam at, say, 205 per 100 pace, and people are going, why would I do that? And it's like, it's only going to cost you 3 minutes. Ask yourself this. Go to a pool, swim, and whatever pace you swim, whether it's 130, 145, 2 minutes, 230, whatever you think your Ironman pace is, go and do a couple of 100s at that pace. So maybe do 5 100s, so let's say it's too many, 3 100s, and just dialing in your 2 minute per 100 pace, okay, and take 15 seconds rest, So do 3. Now try and do 3 at 155 pace and see what that feels like. And you're probably going to be going, oh, I'm working pretty hard here. And the question you have to ask yourself, can you back that up for 38 of those bad boys? If the answer is, oh, that'd be a bit hard, then that's not your Ironman pace. But on the flip side, the next 3, do 3 at 205 per 100 pace. Still taking 15 seconds rest between each one. And see how easy that is. Okay? And I'm pretty sure you'll be swimming along going, oh man, I'm hardly working here. Now imagine if you did that in an Ironman, how fresh you would be getting. Like if I said, could you do 38 of those? You'd go, oh yeah, that's dead easy. I says, well, if you did 38 of those, it would only cost you 3 minutes, but you would get out the water and you would be ready to rip for the rest of the day. And it comes back to that, control rip. So I want you to think about that. Like I did Ironman Malaysia, and I swam 59 minutes 10 or something like that. And somebody said to me after the race, it was 9 minutes swim, warm water. They said, oh, I thought you would have gone faster. And I said, yeah, I could have gone 2 to 3 minutes faster. I said, but it was hot water. I was controlling my body temperature, 9 minutes swim, and I cruised. And I got out the water and I felt fantastic. And in the scheme of things, like I cruised. I could have been doing backstroke. I was going that easy in places. But I was also navigating the back of the field, and that costs time as well. But I just kind of cruised. The reality is I finished 6th in that race. My swim was still 6 minutes faster than everyone else in the top 10. The reality is I lost all that 6 minutes standing in a shade and 10 buckets of cold water on the marathon in the 38 goddamn degree heat. But the reality is for me, I could have swam 57, I could have swam 56, 57 minutes at that race. But the cost versus, for me, bear in mind, I'm that guy, I'm a 55-minute to 1 hour guy. It doesn't matter, if you're a 110 guy, for the sake of trying to swim 105 or versus swimming 110 to 112 and getting out the water like you've done nothing, again, 130 or 2 hours. I want you to think about that. In this world of having to push, ask yourself this: do I need to be going that hard in the first hour of 8 to 17 hour day? And so that's part 1. I'm running out of time. So next part, we'll just talk about a little bit more on this, and it'll be about a couple of things to execute a good swim where you don't fatigue out. And basically, we're just going to talk about volume, and we're going to talk about steady state swimming, which are a key part, or I believe a key part of a good Ironman swim. So just remember in mind, it's not about the time. It's about getting through the swim, being fresh. And peace out from me, and see you soon. Bye.